Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Gourmet Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Join alongside Tim in Green Bay. We got Jacob in Wisconsin here to talk some Packers this evening. Full disclosure, it seems that StreamYard has fixed the issues. However, if I drop off the stream, I'll try to get back on, adjust some settings, and we'll kind of go with the flow. Tim, how you doing, big dog?
Doing good, man. Happy to be here. We got the beard in the house, too. What's up, Jacob?
We may have to edit that first few seconds there. I think Tim caught it too. But Jacob, how you doing, man? Is there any glitch and any delay? How you feel?
It's a little bit glitchy, but I think we can work through it, hopefully.
Yeah, seems better than it was the other night, so maybe it will maybe it'll settle in tonight as we go throughout the show. So if you're new here, welcome into PTA. Welcome into PTA. Appreciate you making us a part of your evening. Hit that like, hit that subscribe if you like daily Packers content. We got pretty much all the bases covered. We do film breakdown, pregame show, postgame show, covering PFF grade. We do it all here. So we try to go live every day, and we appreciate y'all joining us. Got a bunch of new viewers, bunch of new subs. Just want to say welcome to the family. We appreciate y'all joining us for this silly little party called PTA. What I thought we would do tonight, gang, and I see everybody in the chat. Thank y'all so much for hopping in here. And I know it's already absolutely lit up in there. We're going to cover we're going to keep it kind of simple tonight. We're just going to kind of look at the offensive side of the ball, right? And look at the PFF grades from last year and just kind of have a conversation about, hey, how do we feel going into training camp as we're closing in here and we're 8 days away from quarterbacks and rookies reporting. So, and the injured players, I believe it is reporting as well. So we'll just kind of take a look at everything. I thought this was really cool. Christian Watson's dad put this up on X earlier today. Hopefully there ain't no language in there. I didn't even read the actual tweet. I just seen the video he posted, but he gets a little colorful from time to time. I like to see him, though. Says, this is some great work, Jayden Reed. Folks, the most impressive thing about this video is that this young man understands that he needs these reps with his helmet. I've never understood football players practicing catching 100s of balls without a helmet. It's conditioning themselves only partially for the task at hand, as there's then an additional adjustment that has to be made when you add the obstructed sight lines through the face mask once the helmet is worn. This is a former NFL player talking about this here. I thought it was a great point because, boys, listen, it's easy to go out there and play backyard football, right? But when you go out there with a helmet on and that thing's jarring around and you got all the extra weight of the pads, it's a whole different ballgame. But you see Jayden, looks like he's down in Florida, just in Miami, Florida, getting those extra reps in. I thought this was awesome, man.
Down in Miami with the winter warning helmet on, getting his workout in. You got to love it.
Exactly. Jacob, this is what you want to see, right, man? I think Jayden Reed I'm telling you, man, I think he's going to absolutely blow up this year. And he's led the team in receiving the last 2 years,
Yeah, definitely. Like Coach Lynn's saying here, it's nice to see these guys are actually working. They're not just out, on the beach or in the club or doing anything stupid like that. They are absolutely taking this serious. And I think that, Goody lit a fire under a lot of these guys' butts. Last year we went in with what we thought was a very well-rounded, very talented wide receiver room. And I don't think that the guys took that for granted at all, but we definitely didn't get some performances that we expected. We had too many drops, too many missed opportunities, too many injuries. So what better way to make your guys definitely go sweat in the Miami Heat than drafting 2 wide receivers in the first 3 rounds?
Yeah, definitely. Judy says, what I love about this is that it's out of his house. How cool is this, Tim? Just catching some balls off the jugs machine right out of the garage, man.
I love it. And I love what Papa Scoot said, too. Do it with your helmet on, right? We see a lot of guys. It's one thing to run routes. You go out, run routes during the off season, stay loose, that kind of thing. But if you're working on your hands and, looking the ball in and catching, getting the head around, your instincts, reflexes, might as well have a helmet on, right? I like when the guys forget the gloves, put the helmet on, leave the gloves at home, catch them barehanded. That way, when you put those nice Under Armour or Nike gloves on, you get even better grips. So I think it's cool to, you got to practice like you play, right? And play like you practice. So it makes perfect sense for him to get that extra work in and throw the helmet on, man. Might as well. It's almost go time, right?
Yeah. H.E. Soder says, dude in the garage knows that you need to be in the shade during the Florida summer. Amen to that, man. Those Florida summers are different, boys.
He had a daddy soda underneath the jugs machine too. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did notice that. Gotta have it. And here's the thing, man. Like, I don't know about you guys. I love this time of year. Like, you're in the hottest part of the summer, but starting next month that you're going to start to bend into the fall just a little bit. You're about to creep into football weather. You've got college football cranking up at the end of August. You got training camp going full blown here in just a couple of weeks. To me, that's just as much football season as it is in December, And, I got a landscaping business. I was out there and there's certain types of trees that the leaves have already shed a little bit. They do kind of that midsummer shedding. Seeing the leaves on that fresh cut grass, it's like, boy, fall's right around. Jacob will have his pumpkin spice latte, the whole. Do you like the pumpkin spice, Jacob, or not?
I'll be honest, I've never had any pumpkin spice anything. I like pumpkin pie.
There you go. Same thing, right? Same thing.
Sure.
So, all right, let's continue here on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, Jayden Reed putting in that work. You love to see it. Just looking at the PFF scores from last year, guys, we talked about the top 5 who I thought, and we got the guys' opinion as well, who the top 5 best players on the Packers roster is, both on offense and defense, just kind of collectively, right? And we won't go back over that list, but just looking at the offensive side of the ball here, Tim, I think this is really, really cool, man. Josh Jacobs, 92.3. He was the 3rd highest graded running back according to PFF last year. Zach Tom, 85.8. He was the 6th highest graded tackle according to PFF. Number 3 on the list, but number 82.9 in terms of the PFF grade. 12th best running back in the league, Emmanuel Wilson. Then you got Jordan Love with a 75.8. That is 20th of 42. You guys know you got to take that with a grain of salt with the injuries. But Mecole Hardman, 72.8, minimal snaps, but it's worth mentioning he falls into the top 5 of offensive players. You go on down the line, Jayden Reed, 71, Malik Willis, 70, Christian Watson, 70, Romeo Doubs, 69. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 receivers grading out right there at 70. And people think this receiving core is bad. It just, I don't know, it's mind-boggling to me. Moving along there, Rasheed Walker, 68, Tucker Kraft, 67, Elton Jenkins, 65. Chris Brooks, probably even going to make the dang roster, man. 65 PFF grade, right? Solid grade there. Aaron Banks, 65. That's an upgrade over Josh Myers, obviously. Dontavion Wicks, even with the drops, is 65. Just want to get your all's take on it. We'll go around the horn. I don't care who goes first, Tim, Jacob, whoever. What sticks out to you here? And we can also narrow it down to position groups if you want to go that route. I just got to click that tab at the top.
Go ahead, Beard.
To me, it would have to be how underrated our running back room is from top 1, 2, 3, and we still have an unknown in Marshawn Lloyd. And for all these guys to produce the way they did before we did this sort of kind of revamping of the offensive line, where we kind of definitely want to be a little more, larger in the trenches. We want to be able to be some man movers in there. I think that we're going to see an even better lineup. And I think me and Tim have went back and forth, and we've had the conversation of Emmanuel Wilson, in my eyes, is the number 2. Marshawn Lloyd doesn't get anything just given to him. And I know he knows that, but Emmanuel Wilson has went through the ringer to get to where he's at, and people still barely don't even know his name. You know what I mean? So at this point, I think it's very encouraging for that running back room, not to mention obviously the wide receivers that are up there. But to me, the running back room just kind of sticks out.
I would agree with that. Just going back off of our list the other day, I had 3 out of my 5 were offensive players, believe it or not, me being Mr. Defense. I only had 2 defenders on my top 5 list. But of those 3, it was Jay Money, Josh Jacobs, and Zach Tom. So I look at this list, if I'm not counting those names, who's the first names that comes to mind? It's, like Jacob was talking about a few nights ago, it's Tuck Norris, man. It's our tight end, 85, baby, Tuck Norris. And right after him would probably be, honestly, Big E, making that move over to center. Hopefully we sort out this contract. We should be hearing about that any minute now. Any day now, guys. Let us know what's going on with Elton Jenkins. those would be the two that come to mind outside of the three that I already had on the offensive side of the ball. But to Jacob's point, I think he's right. When you look at this offense, I think our running back room is severely underrated, and I do think it's Emmanuel Wilson's spot to lose. Marshawn Lloyd is going to be a freak in this league. We've thought it since we drafted him, but we haven't seen it yet. He's got to show it. Nothing's going to be handed to him, like Jacob said. So I agree with that.
Yeah. As Deadfish says here, thanks for marking that there, Jacob. Jordan Morgan almost had a 60 score as a rookie, but he did not play much. Yeah, obviously he dealt with the injury coming out of camp and then re-aggravated it later in the year, and that's one of the reasons why he didn't fully take that job away from Sean Ryan. Sean Ryan grading out a 61.3, Jordan Morgan right there on his heels at a 59.2. And Jordan Morgan put some good tape out there, in my opinion, when he was on the field. Now, look, you got to be healthy. You got to make sure you're on the field for sure, but I know you marked that one, Jacob. What do you think about the offensive line, man? Here we go. Zach Tom, 85. Rasheed Walker, 68. Elton Jenkins, 65. Aaron Banks, 65. Sean Ryan, 61. Jordan Morgan, 59. Kadeem Telford, 48. And then, of course, Travis Glover, Emilio's guy. Which, shout out to Emilio. Got hitched. Married man now. Congratulations on that, sir. So, Travis Glover, 35. He probably not something you want to hear.
Travis Glover didn't give Emilio and Jordan any wedding gifts, right?
No. I mean,
but Emilio still loves him, right?
Yeah. I just want to point out the 12.6 pass blocking grade there, Jake. What do you think?
That is unbelievable. First of all, absolutely congrats to Mr. Emilio and to his lovely now wife. And I'm just glad that the guy could finally become a citizen. But now going on to the offensive line, one thing that I listened to, when you actually look at the overall, the starting five, it actually is a little, people see the 60s and they don't think it's that great, but 60s, it's not like your typical schoolyard scoring, right? It's not like a D grade. Your 60 is pretty much like your kind of average. And you see it, obviously Tom up there. I think Rasheed Walker is pretty exceeding that 68.7. I think normally Elton Jenkins would exceed the 65.7 grade, but you look over at the pass blocking grades, and that's where you really see how good this offensive line is. I think Ryan touched on it earlier in one of his podcasts this week about how obviously you guys know Ryan loves PFF. I think he uses that metric more than probably any other in the course of his podcast, but he blatantly said, I don't understand how they calculate offensive line scores because it doesn't make any sense for a lot of these things. The way they average it out, the way that they put little emphasis on pass blocking when in a lot of people's eyes that seems to be the most important part of the game. It depends on the offensive scheme, obviously, and all that kind of stuff. But I am very hopeful that even if Tom can take a step in any direction forward, I mean, that's just going to be an absolute elite player. Rasheed Walker, you guys know how I feel about him. If he comes out, it's a contract year in theory for him, even if it's not with us. So he wants to show the world that, hey, I'm worth getting paid here. Elton Jenkins has a chip on his shoulder, and Aaron Banks has something to prove as well. That leaves one more guy that needs to pop out of that mix here. Could it be Glover? I don't think so, but it could be Jordan Morgan, Donovan Jennings. I'm even looking at some dark horses like Belton, Monk, Banks, somebody that comes in there and just steals away. I think that's going to be one of the, if not the most interesting camp battles to see what is going to be this top five.
Yeah. And let's go to the chat here. Ed Madden said, congratulations, Emilio. Travis Glover was the best man? Question mark. Exactly. 2-0 for this says, does Emilio get to keep the race car bed? He's going to need
in the garage.
That.
Yeah, in the garage. Yeah, for sure. He keeps his tools in the trunk.
Respect Orange just said Travis Glover popped out of the wedding cake, Tim. Unbelievable. What do you think about this offensive line, Tim? I'm with Jacob, man. You look at it and you go, nothing really pops to you other than Zach Tom. But, man, those are steady grades across the mark. Josh Myers, I think he graded out in the 50s last year, I believe. So you upgraded there. We just got to get Elton into camp. And listen, I think it was a good sign that he showed up and did the hold in during minicamp. Been real easy to go, I'm staying away, I'm playing hardball. I hope they do give him a little more guaranteed, kind of sweeten the pot, because if they go that route, they can actually lower the cap number a little bit too, right? So give them a little bit of security, and then you can still move on next year if you need to, but he's getting a little more guaranteed money now. Now, with that being said, he may be wanting a 3-year extension, Tim. That's where I kind of buck a little bit. Like, I don't know about that, depending on what the money is. But what do you think of the O-line here, man?
And we don't know, right? Like when you talk about Jenkins, we don't know what's going through his head and what these negotiations are. We don't know what his representation is pushing for. I would think that that's the formula, though, right? Give him a little bit of guaranteed money, We're asking him to make a move here late in his career, move him into the center position and be the the general of this O-line with Jordan Love. So I don't think it's unreasonable to guarantee him some more money. But yeah, if he's looking for, a contract that's going to keep him here, beyond 33, 34 years old, it might get a little tricky. But I have full faith and confidence in both Elgton Jenkins and his attitude and his approach, and also the front office at 1265, that they're going to make this right and we're going to figure something out. That being said, that's my starting center. I would like to see, in an ideal situation, maybe Jordan Morgan does win that left tackle position, and we don't have to wonder about Rasheed Walker. But I'm okay with Sheed being our left tackle. I'm good with Aaron Banks at left guard, Big E at center, and it's going to be either Jordan Morgan or Sean Ryan at right guard. I'm convinced of it. And then obviously Zach Tom, the stud, is your right tackle. Any day on that too. Waiting for them to back up a boatload of cash to Zach Tom's house. Get that.
Can I pose a weird question, or I guess a scenario?
Yeah, man.
We all have just kind of assumed that Elgton Jenkins is a plug and play center. We've heard it for a long time. Between him and Tom, what was the old quote that they're like a Pro Bowl tackle?
Yep.
Yeah. All pro guard and like Hall of Fame center type thing.
It was actually that comment was not said about Elgton. It was only said about Zach Tom. They said Zach Tom is a Pro Bowl caliber tackle. He's an all-pro guard and a Hall of Fame center, is the way they viewed him.
Yeah. But I feel like they've talked in similar air that Elton's a plug and play at any position along the line. Mm-hmm. And I just, the only times that we saw it was at the end of the year, and I didn't see a great performance. Now, obviously, if you get pulled out of playing a position that you've been playing the whole season, and you don't have any camaraderie with the guys that are next to you, I understand why that may look a certain type of way. Oh, and it's against one of the best defenses that's come around lately in the modern history of football. But do you guys have any reserves or hesitation thinking that could be our biggest glaring, what's the word? Weakness on the offensive line again would be the center position, even if he slides in there. Do you have any reservations? Do you have that being a possibility?
I think it's a realistic concern, definitely. But to your point about Elgton Jenkins, I think, at least in my eyes, he was always a guy that could play anywhere on the interior. So both guard spots for sure, and then center. I do think, that being said, the contingency plan could be, if the wheels fall off with Elgton at center for some reason, like to play devil's advocate here, then you move Zach Tom to center and you stick a Jordan Morgan at right tackle if you have to, or you juggle on that side and put your best five on the field, like you always say, Jacob. But I have faith. I believe Elgton can play center. I really do. I don't think he's been able to do it consistently enough at the NFL level for us to really get a glimpse of what he can do. But I think, going into a season from camp all the way through, preparing to be that guy and being the center, I think he can handle it. I don't have any doubt.
So you'd be cool. You'd rather pull Tom away and not give maybe somebody like Monk or Ryan a chance at, because Clayton, you correct me if I'm wrong.
At center, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm just wondering, do you want to jeopardize taking Zach Tom away from that tackle position where we know he's a stud and risk shaking up the rest of the offensive line? Or do you want to try to say, if Elgton, let's say, God forbid, it's an injury or something like that, would you rather try a Jacob Monk or a Sean Ryan, just so you know you have that staple at tackle? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, here's my thing. There's two positions that touch the ball every single play, center and quarterback, right? I would much rather have my best player playing center, handling the ball every time, rather than have that in the hands of a Jacob Monk or someone like that. Listen, Jacob Monk could go on to be a great center, but the way you kind of, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Jacob. You wasn't saying Elton's a bad center. I know that. But the hesitation in your voice about, do we know Elton's a good center? That's how I feel about Jacob Monk, Sean Ryan, everybody else who plays center other than Zach Tom, right? So for me, it would be Elton. I feel great about Elton playing at center. If you don't believe me, go back and watch the tape of him in college. Now, when he got asked to play center against Detroit, Tim was there. It was a damn monsoon, and he didn't prep to be center all week long. He gets plugged right into that, and now all of a sudden you're trying to help the guy plugging in at left guard handle their guy. And what it really comes down to is the reason centers get paid less than guards is because they don't have to handle the 3 tag, right? They're typically in a double team situation. It's very, very rare, unless you're in your base 12 or 21 and you're going up against a 34 jam. It's very rare that a center is one-on-one blocking. So the blocking aspect, Elton's got it licked. The reps with Jordan of him playing center, whether it's in the shotgun or under center, and snapping the football, that's where you need some reps for them to get acclimated with each other. And here's the other thing. When we talk about Josh Myers and we turn on the tape, how many times, what was the thing that we noticed the most about Josh Myers all year long? He could get to the second level, but when he got there, damn, he couldn't get a hand on anybody.
Blocking ghosts. Yeah.
Watch Elton get out to the second level when they pull a guard. So that part of your game is going to be improved. And that, my friends, is the backbone of duo, which is what we run with Josh Jacobs now, which is double-double vertical power. So I have no worries at all with Elton playing center, none. I do have worries that if Elton goes down and we decide to go the Sean Ryan route or the Jacob Monk route, not knowing what's happening there. But here's the cool thing. With Elton missing time during camp, hell, look who's getting the reps. It's Jacob Monk. So that can only help him, for sure. Deadfish says Jenkins has a better score at pass block and run block, but Walker has a better overall score. What's going on here? That's exactly what Jacob was talking about with Ryan and PFF, right? So, and listen, I'm sure they got their whole system. But my biggest problem with PFF is they don't say, here's what we graded this play. It's just, here are the grades. And that kind of bothers me a little bit. It makes me a little more hesitant to just go, hey, this is gospel. And that's why I prefer NFL Pro over, obviously, PFF.
I want to say, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I think that even stuff like penalties, do they factor that into the PFF grade? So I'm wondering if maybe like –
oh, yeah, definitely.
So I'm wondering if that could be the difference there, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. So, but I understand the confusion and the trying to figure out how the heck they handle this stuff, man. It's really strange how they go about it. Chase Green in the chat earlier said Chris Brooks can block very well in those double sidecar sets, man. And not just you didn't specify pass blocking. I immediately thought pass pro, right? Which is what Ed Madden just said. Brooks is probably our best at pass pro. But the previous comment talking about double sidecar, we seen Chris Brooks as the lead blocker, on some of those pony package runs. That was a lot of fun. So when you look at the running back room, Josh Jacobs, 92, Emmanuel Wilson, 82, Chris Brooks, 65, and then Marshawn Lloyd, 53. I think you either carry 4 or you try to stash Chris Brooks on the practice squad. Now, an injury could occur. I hope that doesn't happen in camp, but they're not going to – I mean, there's no way. If all 4 of these guys are healthy, there's no way they're letting Marshawn Lloyd try to go to the practice squad. That's just not going to happen. So we may be carrying 4. Boys, what do y'all think about the running back room, what Ed Madden and the guys said in the chat about Chris Brooks? That's going to be a hard one to let go, Jacob, if you decide to move on from Chris Brooks.
Yeah, it's just that type of year, though, where it's like, where do you make the cut? I mean, we've got all of our guys that we love on the offensive line. I've got at least 3 tight ends that I want to see make this team, if not 4. I've got at least 3, if not 4 running backs that I want to make this team. And then the wide receiver room is longer than the freaking line at never mind. The club, let's just say the Oval Office when I'm on stage. Let's say that. And then
just don't ask for your money back once you get in there.
All sales are final. I just think that it's a big deal because there's also, we talk about how many guys on the defensive side of the ball we're trying to sneak on. So at this point, does Chris Brooks, can we slide him by making it through to the practice squad again, or does he have too much notoriety and too much tape on film? That somebody could snag them up. I don't know. If I had my druthers and I could say, yeah, I would love to keep all of them. I really would. I just, for whatever reason, I think that Chris Brooks is the odd man out, even though I don't think that's fair. That's
in
life.
A perfect world, he's your practice squad guy, right? And you run with Jacobs, Wilson, and Lloyd, and you let Wilson and Lloyd fight it out for that number 2 spot. I would agree, because I'd like to keep those 4. We haven't really seen much of Jalen White or Amar Johnson to really even talk, but I would agree. And it's tough, Jacob, like you said, look at the receiver room and you look at some of the guys that we have that are capable of playing in the backfield. We were talking about Savion Williams. We talked about Jaden Reed. So it does. You got a deep running back room, but you've also got a receiving core that are capable of lining up back there as well. So it makes it really tough to cut down for sure.
Yeah. And I like what Coach Lynn says here. Unless Johnson from South, I'm trying to think of who it is. Is it South Dakota State he played for? SCUSD. I'm not sure what that stands for there. Is a stud, but he's talking about obviously Amar Johnson. Amar Johnson, where did he play? Let me see here real quick. Yeah, South Dakota State Jackrabbits. So the same school that Tucker went to, right? So that's one that could, listen, we didn't know who the hell Emmanuel Wilson was when they signed him, Tim, Yep. So this is how you find these guys, right? Now, I'm not saying that Amar Johnson is going to replace Emmanuel Wilson. Don't get me wrong, but you can't be too worried about losing someone like Chris Brooks. I mean, that's the reason you brung Amar Johnson and Jalen White in. And I will say this, that it is worth noting that we broke camp last year with the initial 53. Josh Jacobs, Marshawn Lloyd, Emmanuel Wilson, and we put A.J. Dillon on the injured reserve, and we released Ellis Merriweather and Nate McCrary. So both of those guys obviously are not on the roster now. So I'm not going to say it's highly unlikely we carry 4, but last year we did break camp with 3. I personally think if you break camp with 3, it's definitely going to be Josh Jacobs, Emmanuel Wilson, Marshawn Lloyd, and like you said, Tim, try to get Chris Brooks on the practice squad.
Hopefully.
So,
for sure.
Yeah. And Amar Johnson, too, that's the thing, too. If you Chris Brooks and Amar Johnson on the practice squad sounds pretty dang good to me if you can make that happen.
And to Jacob's point, you never know. Brooks could be one of those guys that gets snatched up, because there is tape out there. We've seen enough that he could be intriguing to another team as a prospect. So he might not be safe there.
What's even crazier, too, is Daryl. How's your wives doing, Daryl? He brings up a good point. He says Ellis Merriweather did what he could in the backfield before signing with the CFL team. I thought Ellis Merriweather looked great in preseason. There was times where I was like, man, he might make this team,
Right.
I said the same thing. Shows what the hell we know, right?
I said the same thing about Christian Welch. This guy's Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
But now he's back on the team again. Unbelievable. Now, yeah, it's going to be.
Oh, wait, too old for this. Easy solution. Cut Alex Hale, designate Whelan as the international player, and boom, you keep Brooks.
Look at too old for this.
Can't say that's not intriguing, but how dare you insult my upstart young blood kicker waiting in the wings for Brandon McManus to retire in a couple of years and take over the reins. But hey, I've heard of crazier game plans than this. What do you think?
I'll tell you, no comment, man. That's I love the way too old for this is mind fires, though. No doubt about it, man. All right, so there's just a quick glimpse at running back. We started off talking about Jaden Reed. Let's take a look at the receiver room real quick. All right, we got Mecole Hardman, 72.8, Jaden Reed, 71.7, Christian Watson, 70, Romeo Dobbs, 69, Dontavion Wicks, 65, Bo Melton, 63, Malik Heath, 62. Now, if you go to EPA and some of the advanced metrics and get away from PFF, you'll find that Malik Heath was one of our better receivers with the limited opportunities he was given, right? Dontavion Wicks, way down the list. Jaden Reed, passer rating when targeted, was the best amongst all receivers in the National Football League last year, which is still wild to think about. Christian Watson led the league in yards per reception at 21.4, I believe it was, while Jordan Love obviously led the league with 24 completions of 20-plus air yards, or more. So the big thing that sticks out, though, is Mecole Hardman, man. I think Mecole Hardman's going to make this roster if he stays healthy. I think they like his speed. I think they like his veteran leadership. He's got a ring or two, Super Bowl ring, so he brings that aspect to the team as well. Last year we broke camp with 6. If you had to pick them right now, well, what 6 are we going with here, guys? I know this. If it comes down to Malik Heath and Bo Melton, as much as I love Bo, I'm probably keeping Malik Heath, although you got to run it through the filter of, can you get Malik Heath on the practice squad? But what do you guys think about the receiver room?
I'm with you there on if it's down to Bo and Malik, I'm going to go with Malik Heath, man. And that's no disrespect to Bo Melton. We love Bo Melton, but Malik's a dog, man. He's one of those guys that might not get a lot of snaps, but every snap that he gets, he's going to maximize, and he's going to make a play. He's going to show up on that game tape. He doesn't take plays off. But if I had to pick 6, I think you're right, man. Rome, Tay Wicks, Jaden Reed, Mecole Hardman, Savion, Matt Golden, Scoot coming off of the IR. That's my 6.
How about you, Jacob?
Yeah, it's tough. I agree with Tim. I gotta take Malik over Bo. I do also think that Mecole is somehow going to find a way on this team. I just think that he has shown too much. He's been too much of a veteran presence. So I'd probably mimic that. Yeah, I think it'd be Dontavian, Dobbs, Reed, Hardman, Heath, and then obviously when Scoot comes back, we figure that out. But it's I mean, look at, and obviously the talent down there in Goldman, Savion, but it's like there's so many guys there where it's like dealer's choice, man. And I know, like we talk about a lot, I don't want it to happen. I'm not saying it should happen, but it's almost guaranteed that there are going to be some injuries. So it's nice to know that there is an absolute rotation. Like this team, I don't think you'll find another team in the NFL right now that has a deeper and more talented wide receiver group. It's just crazy.
You're right. Even if you go to the bottom tier guys, right? Guys that may not make this team. Julian Hicks is a guy that had a good camp last year for us.
Cornelius Johnson is
another up and coming big body, like, receiver. So there's depth across the board. So you don't want to say, hey, you can't go wrong, just pick your 6, but you do feel good knowing that injuries happen to every team, every year, every season. It happens. It's bound to happen at some point. Hopefully it's a minor thing and not something like, Christian Watson's dealing with now, missing extended period of time. And you have the depth where, next man up. We always talk about it, the old cliche. Somebody goes down, next man up, fill that role, maximize your reps, and, go make an impact. And I think you're right, Jacob. I think we have a receiver room right now, at the 90-man point on the roster. We've got depth there. So whoever ends up on the 53 and whoever ends up on the practice squad, I think we're good going forward.
Now, if we look at production with the receiving core from last year, just catching the ball in general, both running backs, tight ends, and wide receivers. Let's try to key in on wide receivers, but it's hard to ignore Tucker Kraft. First of all, leading the way in yardage, 857 receiving yards, Jayden Reed. Second on the team was Tucker Kraft at 707. Third was Christian Watson with 620, and you see that yards per reception at 21.4 right there. Just unbelievable. Romeo Dobbs, 601. Dontavion Wicks, 415. Josh Jacobs, 342 out of the backfield. Malik Heath, 97. Bo Melton, 91. Now, when you go to the touchdown column here, Tucker Kraft led the way with 7. Jayden Reed, 6. Dontavion Wicks with 5. Romeo Dobbs, 4. Christian Watson, only 2. Malik Heath, 2. Look at Malik Heath, man. He ran 62 routes and caught a couple tutters. Pretty wild. Pretty wild to think about. If we go to yards per reception, this is where you see Christian Watson shine at 21.4. Jayden Reed out of the slot, 15.6. Tucker Kraft, 14.1. Romeo Dobbs, 13.1. Bo Melton, 11. Tay Wicks, 10. Ben Sims, 10. Only 46 routes. Only targeted 5 times. Caught 4 balls. And now, I don't know, just averaged 10.5 yards a catch. Pretty cool, right? Then, of course, you got Malik Heath at 9. Josh Jacobs at 9. The fact that Josh Jacobs averaged 9 yards a catch is wild to think about.
Can we circle that one tutter there too? We got him his first career receiving tutter. Shout out to Josh Jacobs. Hopefully he gets at least one more this year. We'll see.
Yeah, and then with Jacob, when you go to catch percentage, this was the big thing, right? People were worried about the drops and all, right? If you just focus on wide receivers, okay. Well, first of all, Ben Sims, shout out to Ben. Well, Josh Jacobs, 83.7% catch percentage out of the backfield, just sure-handed as they come, right? Ben Sims, 80%. Emmanuel Wilson improved his catching ability in the passing game at 78.6. Malik Heath, 76.9. Malik Heath led all of our receivers at 76.9% catch rate, right, or catch percentage. Jayden Reed at 73.3. So of our starting wide receivers, you would go on Twitter and people say, Jayden Reed just catch the ball. He got a drop issue. He led our starting receivers, right, in catch percentage at 73.3. I just want to point that out. And look at Musgrave too, man. 70% catch rate right there, right behind Tucker Kraft at 71.4. What do y'all think about that? Am I off base there? Because there's people ready to run Jayden Reed out of town because he has a drop issue. Of course, we broke down the last 5 games of the year, and there was only one that could have been counted as a drop, and he was full extension trying to catch football because the ball was off the mark. But
I got a hot take for you.
Let's hear it.
Jayden Reed's going to be your leading receiver in 2025 for the Green Bay Packers. Book it.
Hey, that ain't hot to me at all, man. I can see him, if he stays healthy, Tim, And with the emergence of Savion Williams, Savion Williams taking more end arounds and stuff and taking that off Jayden Reed's plate, keeping him healthy, I would not be surprised if Jayden Reed cracks a grand this year. I would.
You got Matthew Golden stretching the field, running 9 routes all day, torching the secondary. Yeah, Bird's going to get his, man. Definitely.
No doubt.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, I agree. I just can't. As we went through all those percentages and those metrics, again, I hate to be the same guy, but the guy that flashed to me was Tucker Kraft. The fact that he had almost 800 yards receiving, that he did he lead us in touchdowns? I believe, yeah, he did. And the fact that, again, if you look at even the wide receivers, he was the third average catch, I believe, at 14 some odd yards, which that's pretty impressive for a tight end. And I really do think that he has not cracked his potential. So if I had to pick between, I think Reed will have more yards. I do think that's fair, but there's just so much more to spread around. I wouldn't be surprised if Reed ended up with like just over a grand, and if Tucker still somehow was like in that 800-900 yard area, but maybe somehow cracked like 10 touchdowns, because I just feel like that they understand what type of weapon he is. But again, dealer's choice, man. Who are you going to cover? Imagine this is 11 personnel, 12 personnel, whatever you want to say, 21 personnel. You got to put a hat on a hat for certain guys that are just going to absolutely light you up. And then again, if I said earlier that I'd love to have 4 tight ends. John Fitzpatrick, look at that. 7 games played, not a ton, right? There's not a lot. He's got not that many targets and all that, but 100% is 100%. Marshawn Lloyd, 100% is 100%. Chris Brooks up there again. So you understand why these guys kind of pop off the page and become homers for us and hometown heroes, because they just, when we asked them to do a certain thing or a certain scheme in certain games, they performed. We didn't, ask them to do it, and we haven't seen it over the course of the whole season. So obviously that's why you have to take these metrics with a grain of salt, with a lot of them that have low snaps, low play time, low games. But I mean, man, dude, we've talked about how when we lost in that Philly game, once our few starters went down, we just had no backups. We had no rotation. We had no bench, man. And all I'm seeing right now is that we are stacking up that floor. We already kind of know, I think, that what a lot of these guys' ceiling is, but now we've got a lot of new guys that show that we could push that ceiling even farther. I think the most underrated thing about this offseason, about building off of last season, is that our floor, it's rising, baby. It's a rising.
Yeah.
This receiving it's tough.
It is, Brett. When you look at some of the advanced metrics here, catch rate over expected. Ben Sims, minimal snaps, obviously, 46 routes, but 15.8% led the way. John Fitzpatrick, 9.7. Of course, throw that out. This is what I was talking about. Malik Heath, of all the receivers, Malik Heath led in catch rate over expected at 9.7%. Luke Musgrave, 7.2%. And then you get down to our first starting receiver, if you will, Christian Watson, plus 5.2%. Boy, that whole crowd of the fan base that was saying Christian Watson couldn't catch a football, they're awful quiet now. We just got to get him healthy for sure. Romeo Doubs, 2.9%. Jayden Reed, plus 1.2%. Tucker Kraft comes in at a negative 2.1%. But again, man, what sticks out there is your best 2 receivers in terms of catch rate over expected. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, no surprise there, but Jayden Reed right on Romeo's heels in terms of catch rate over expected. In terms of receiving EPA, Jayden Reed leading the way at 37.7. Tucker Kraft, there he is again, Jacob, 32.6. Romeo Doubs, 24.9. Christian Watson, 16. And then once again, Malik Heath, you find him above players like Bo Melton, Dontavion Wicks. This is the metric I was talking about. Dontavion Wicks, catch rate over expected, minus 12.4%. And here's what's crazy is minus 12.4%. That is absolutely horrible catch rate over expected. But PFF has him graded at 65. Why? Because they're probably grading his route running ability in as well, right? If he fixes the drops this year, which weren't an issue his rookie year, to the best of my memory, I think you're going to have Dontavion Wicks stepping right back in on pace. He hit the sophomore slump. I'm hoping he just hits it in stride here this year, picks right up where he left off his rookie year. So, any other metric you guys want to see there? I'm looking at the average separation here, and when you remove the running backs, which they're going to have the most separation, look at Tucker Kraft, 4.4%. Jayden Reed, 4.4 yards of separation on average. Jayden Reed, 4. Musgrave 3.2, Ben Sims 3.1, and then Dontavion Wicks at 3. So you see he created more separation than people like Malik Heath, Romeo Dobbs, and Christian Watson. You're seeing that route running ability kind of show in the average yards of separation, but still Jaden Reed better than Dontavion Wicks at creating separation. Braden in the chat says Tucker Kraft just becoming a dad is going to motivate him to a new level this year. His Instagram story was legendary. Dude was born for Green Bay. I could not agree more. Did you guys see that? Him holding the newborn baby?
Shout out to Rob Westerman for reposting that on X. I saw that earlier today. What a cute pic. He had the baby in the helmet. Good luck. Congratulations to Tuck Norris, man. That's awesome.
Definitely. Anything else you guys want to hit here on the receiver room? Anything at all before we move it along? Good.
No, just shout out to Cheesehead Murph. Every time he's in the chat, we're blessed. What up, Cheesehead Murph?
Murph? That is my guy. I like what Greg Rice says, Murph with 2 Fs, though. That's what I'm talking about. Yep. All right. That's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we will see you on the other side for hour 2, where we're going to talk defense and just give a little training camp preview there. We appreciate y'all.